Candace Owens says it's going to be a crazy week in the Charlie Kirk investigation, especially for Andrew Kolvet. Today, we're going to go over what she said, how people responded, and what I think is going to happen. Let's take a listen to the first part of the show where she's talking about how the state medical examiner has resigned unexpectedly. And it's not the first time that this has happened.
By the name of Dr. Deidre Amaro. Her tenure began July 1st of 2024. And now we can exclusively report that Dr. Deidre Amaro has resigned from her position. She's no longer the chief medical examiner of Utah. Now, I am actually hearing that there are a lot of resignations happening full stop across the board, particularly at UVU, also at police departments, which all seem to be occurring because people have a general sense of corruption that they would like to remove themselves from.
This is not the first time that this has happened. We have heard several months ago where the president of UVU resigned unexpectedly and really didn't give a reason either. Dr. Astrid S. Tumenez resigned unexpectedly and really didn't give a good answer as to why. But let's take a listen.
And I don't think I'm the same person from last year's State of the University. And I want to announce today that I am leaving UVU. I am leaving UVU. This will be my last semester. Effective May 1st, 2026. I don't know where I'll be, to be honest, but I think that's also a good thing.
So she also just resigned. It's kind of a mystery. Normally, presidents of universities stay for 10, 20, 25 years longer. She was there, I believe, maybe 7 years. So that's kind of strange. Also, the sheriff of Washington County, Sheriff Brooksby, did the same thing. And there was a little bit of a scandal with him, but he is denying all allegations.
Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby is resigning after over 30 years in law enforcement. Brooksby announces retirement Friday. It comes after the Washington County Attorney's Office says they received complaints about Sheriff's Office operations. Now, we're working to clarify what exactly those complaints were. They're vague right now, but at this point, Brooksby denies these allegations.
So another one, very strange. And I know there are more out there. I'll try to keep my eye out and see if I can kind of come up with a better list of these, but there seem to be just dropping like flies. They're resigning and taking early retirement, or, I can understand in this sheriff's situation where he's been there for 30 years. But still, the scandal, I think that the surrounding this whole thing is not helping. So let's move on to the next part of Candace's show, where she points out the fact that Andrew is challenging Charlie Kirk and Candace's friendship, which is so ridiculous. I don't even know why he is going down that road. But he continues to push this narrative that Candace and Charlie weren't friends, that Charlie didn't even like her, that, things fell apart. And let's take a listen to what Candace said first.
He challenged me to prove that Charlie and I had any friendship in the last 24 months of his life. Show me any proof of a genuine friendship from the last 12 months of his life.
So I'm not really sure why Andrew is taking this stance. Why is he so sure that he can prove that there was no friendship, or is he just trying to create doubt? Because he's clearly getting called out. Project Constitution dropped a post on X, and it says that Andrew Kolvet is fully unraveling in public. During the Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing, he went scorched earth and challenged Candace to prove she and Charlie had any real friendship in the last 12, 18, or 24 months of Charlie's life. Candace took the bait and dropped private messages initiated by Charlie himself. Candace does drop those messages. She drops the proof. And even after, Andrew has a community note against him on X. And let's listen to Candace's take on this, and then we'll take it from there.
Overwhelmingly hilarious. This is what Andrew Kolvet came back with. Yes, I've seen the alleged texts shared by Candace. I have no idea about their authenticity. Let's just stop right there, Andrew Kolvet. Erika has his phone. Scroll up, type in the phrase that I shared, and come back with something more honest than this, okay? That's a real conversation, Andrew. This is why nobody trusts you, no one believes you. What a ridiculous start. The alleged text. I have no idea. I couldn't bother to find out whether or not these text messages are real.
All they have to do is open Charlie's phone and scroll in the text and look. That's it. All they have to do. Why don't they do it? I don't know. But they seem to love pushing this narrative, whatever this is. So it's pretty obvious that Andrew is just putting things out there that aren't true. It's so easy to prove, and I don't understand why he's doing it. Let me know in the comments if you have any idea why this is happening. The next thing was about her trying to find out where Charlie's body is. Was it cremated? What happened to the body?
Which I may or may not know the answer to. As to whether or not Charlie Kirk was cremated, I just sort of dropped that on the net. And the question immediately caused Turning Point and their mockingbirds to come undone. Blake Neff lost his mind. This was his response. He wrote, "Again, this is none of your business, you vile witch." Ooh.
They're so touchy, and they go on to say that Candace is poking around issues that are too private. And why is she asking these questions that are so private? We were invited into the coffin of Charlie Kirk. That was filmed for the whole world to see. And now we're not allowed to know where he's buried? I mean, you would think that they would at least just put up a monument somewhere, a headstone, and just say, okay, he's buried here. You know, I'm surprised they haven't even tried that yet. But no, they're just saying, no, that's too personal. That needs to be, that's only for Erika and for the family. She makes a good point. You know, Erika, when it suits her, she will get into the coffin and she will talk about things that are very personal or show you film video of things that are very personal. But when it comes to something she doesn't want to happen, when she's trying to push her own narrative, then those things are off limit. So here's a good example.
Like public sympathy and using the theme of death to garner it is her thing. So I don't, this seems like an extraordinary carve out here. Like suddenly where he's buried or whether or not he's cremated is a bridge too far.
So she can use death and family images whenever she wants to, whenever it suits her purpose. But when it comes time to us or the public knowing anything or Candace asking some questions, that's too much. No, that's just too much. We can't do that. Can't go there. And Candace points out a very good point where she says there's two reasons why it would be weird that Charlie was cremated, if that's what happened. One, he didn't want to be cremated, so that's a pretty strong point. And two, the investigation is not over yet, and the trial is not over yet. So in a murder investigation, why would you cremate the body before the trial and before anything was final, really? It only screams cover up even more. If that's what really happened, then we're going to be saying, okay, this really is a cover up, because there's literally nothing now. There's no crime scene. There's no vehicle. There's no records. All the phone calls seem to be missing. All the video is missing. And now the body is missing. So with all that, then, okay, I would say then this is probably 100% a cover up. I think the only reason that Tyler Robinson is even alive is because he turned himself in. And Mormons, I'm sorry, you can say what you want about them, but they are not going to turn him over or kill him. Now, I'm not saying that they're beyond being part of a conspiracy, but I am saying that the average everyday Mormon, and I know this for a fact, and I'm not Mormon, but I know I have intimate knowledge of the Mormon culture. And your average everyday Mormon is not going to harm Tyler. They're not going to let that happen. And they're not going to be a part of a conspiracy. So that is probably what saved his life, and what is still protecting him to this day, is my opinion. Her next topic that she brings up on her show, to me, is the headline of the show. This is the 911 call, and this is the most important part. Let's take a listen to what she said first.
Anyway, most crucially today, to get to the big part, I would like to return to the alleged 911 call that took place from Charlie's security team en route to the hospital. And Brian Harpole was very clear in my lawsuit. A 911 call did take place. And what always stood out to me was that despite providing this near play-by-play of what everyone was doing during that short ride, no one wants to take credit for dialing out to emergency services.
So very strange, very odd, but now she's going to go on to say that they did get their hands on some audio. They think that they have the call, the 911 call, somebody speaking with the dispatcher. But in fact, it seems like possibly somebody accidentally dialed the number. Maybe they hit redial or dialed it by accident, but somehow the 911 operator was connected to somebody in the vehicle. We don't know who that is yet. Candace is still going through it, but this is pretty important. Approximately 5 minutes of phone call, of recording of things going on inside the vehicle while the dispatcher is sitting there because nobody's really talking to them. I don't think they realize that they're connected. So let's listen to that.
Running for approximately 5 minutes without the caller recognizing that it was still on. So almost like a 911 call turned butt dial. We'll have to get more details of how that could have occurred. But in the midst, what was heard on this call and what was captured rather on this call is, quote, "We got him. We are taking him to the hospital."
Could this be somebody in the vehicle talking to Ben Shapiro's team, as they claimed, or Tim Pool, or whoever else said that they were in communication with the people in that SUV while they were taking Charlie to the hospital? Is that possible? Is it possible they're saying, "We got him," and then they're not talking to the 911 operator? I just asked the question. What do you think?
Okay, maybe that was supposed to be to the operator. A strange thing to say. Now on What's Your Emergency? We got him and we're taking him to the hospital. Maybe it was supposed to be said. Almost sounds to me almost like a status update, followed by chaos, followed by a voice saying, "Get out of the way."
Get out of the way. That would be probably somebody talking to Frank Turek, telling him to get his big head out of the way because he's reaching over the seat trying to do some kind of weird CPR that you can't do from that position. I'm sure that sounds a lot like what that was.
Get out of the way, followed by what sounds like high rates of speed is coming across. So the car is moving quickly. But here's where it gets super interesting. Also, allegedly not for long, the statement, "Get that off of him."
Get that off of him. So what could that be? Get that off of him. Could be his shirt. Get that off of him. His maybe part of the mic, or the mic was still there. His necklace. Get that off of him. Somebody on top of him. I don't think so, because they wouldn't have said get that off of him. They would have said get off of him. So get that off of him, to me, sounds like a shirt or a necklace. That's very strange. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next week or so. Candace promises a crazy week. Explosive, I think, is a word she used. And I'll be interested to see what comes of this 911 call. But for people that thought that this could be hidden or buried, I am surprised that you would think that, because if there's 911 calls, if there are recordings of calls out there, they're going to get out, and we're going to hear about them. So I don't know how you think that's not going to happen, but the public is entitled to listen to those. It's public information, and there's no reason why we shouldn't. Next, Candace starts talking about Erika Kirk making her appearance at her Make Heaven Crowded tour. And let's take a listen to that.
Let's hear what Pastor Russell has to say. Take a listen.
Beware of conservatism that is void of Christ. Beware of talking head personalities who peddle conspiracy theories to their room temperature IQ audiences in hopes of generating a few more clicks and a few more dollars for their narcissistic pseudo empires. Beware of modern day Ahabs and Jezebels who sit behind microphones in air conditioning.
I would love to see the background on this guy. Who is this guy? Patrick Russell. I mean, wow. They got somebody they thought that was going to be real hip with the teens and with the young people. And this guy is a mess. I mean, he looks to me like he is. Yeah. So this is the picture of him and Erika after the show. And this guy looks like, is he detoxing or what's going on here? He's about 50 pounds. I guess this is what's supposed to be cool or something for the younger people. Anyway, so that's Pastor Russell. Okay, so moving on, then Candace starts talking about the Christian-ese, which is kind of a new term that she's coining. And it refers to people that are using this religious speak all the time. And honestly, when they just can't even think of something to say, they almost revert to going into some kind of prayer. And I've seen Erika do it many times when she gets forgetful. She forgets what she's saying and she loses her train of thought. That's the main one. And then she'll start rambling into this prayer almost. And it's very Kamala Harris-esque. It's annoying, actually. But that's the reason why Kamala wasn't accepted by the public, is because she couldn't make sense. Her sentences weren't good. I don't know. She just rambled. The words were coming out of her mouth and she was absolutely saying nothing. So that's kind of the comparison here. And Candace showed this little clip. Devontae West does a great job of illustrating this.
And I love this thing my pastor said. He said, how can you have faith when you've never been faithful? Wow, I love that. Right? And it's with...
Okay, you get the idea. So he's just going on and on about words that don't mean anything, and the person's getting spiritually moved by this whole thing. It's, of course, comedy and not real. But so that was funny. And then finally in Candace's show, she talked about Andrew Kolvet or his team or people going to the White House because Netanyahu was going to be there also. And so she just, let you listen.
Plus, the CMO, Marina Minas, are headed to the White House today. It could certainly be unrelated, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Bibi Netanyahu is also slated to land into Washington, D.C. in a couple of hours now.
Okay, and so then Andrew responded to that, and let's take a listen to that.
He wrote, LOL, no, can confirm I'm not in D.C. Same is true for our in-house lawyer and CMO.
Okay, but then after he sent that no, and he was very quick to respond on this one. But then afterwards, there's been an update, and Candace Owens posted, Andrew never responded here, but I have a fun little update. He lied again. I have now confirmed my report with someone inside the White House. TPUSA was in fact slated to meet at the White House. Andrew Kolvet, Marina Minas, and their in-house counsel, and Justin Strife, their COO. So why was Andrew's impulse to immediately lie about this with such conviction? What may have been interpreted as a harmless meeting now looks remarkably suspicious. You only lie when you have something to hide. This is the mistake that they keep making over and over and over again. They keep lying about simple things that, maybe aren't so simple. But this isn't. If they're meeting with Netanyahu when he's here, then there's a reason why. And that's what Candace called out, and they immediately lied about it. And so why? Why did they lie? Let me know what you guys think. So this is kind of a summary of her show yesterday, and I would be interested to hear your comments and your thoughts on the subject. And that's all I have for today, but like and subscribe and leave your comments below. I'll see you in the next episode. You have a good one. Bye-bye.